Dazzler's Craft. Handcraft custom trainers designed in-house. From your favourite football team or player to that band you've always loved. dazzlerscraft.co.uk.
Welcome to my Best 11 podcast. Today we are joined by a man who played a number of seasons at the Arsenal, then went on to QPR, a very short stint at Walsall, which I'm intrigued about. Northampton, MK Dons, Kettering, and then went on to manage Kettering for a short amount of time. We are joined today by Lee Harper. How are you, Lee?
Very good, thank you. Very good.
Excellent. And Marvin, how are you, and how would you know Lee?
Super Harps. I know Harps from working with him, actually. A mutual friend of ours, Ashley Westwood, introduced us together, and Harps was looking for an assistant or a coach at Kettering to help him out, and I happily obliged, and we got to know each other from then, and I've remained buddies since then. I would say. Would you say, Harps? We've had a good relationship.
Absolutely. I mean, at the time, I took my first managerial job at the end of that first year and into that second year at Kettering Town, and I previously had John Dean, who was ex-Aston Villa striker and very highly thought of in the game, and he'd come to work with me there, and parted companies with a big issue that happened with an FA Cup game, and he unfortunately got sacked. And like Marv said there, I got the opportunity. Someone spoke about Marv, and I did know a little bit about him from his Luton Town days. And yeah, I mean, he was just fantastic in my time at Kettering. I mean, I look back at that time and I made so many errors, but he was just calming and such a great personality, and he helped me no end. And unfortunately, that was my only stint as a manager, and lots of regrets. But you can't live on regrets, and it was a pleasure having him on board.
But you met me, Harps. I always look at the positives. You met me, and I met you. That's out of that we met each other.
True.
Didn't we?
That's
positives.
True. Yeah, and your banter and your humour has kept me going all these years. In lonely times, kept me going, and no, you've been, that is very true. You need to look at the positives more, and he was just such a bright spark in a time where there was difficulties that I'm sure, Marv, we may not get onto that subject for other reasons, legally wise, but Marv helped me out there, and I'm grateful to have met him. So I don't want to keep patting him on the back, though. Doing too much patting him on the back.
Oh, he deserves it. He does deserve it. He got a bit of praise a couple of weeks ago from David Pleat, and rightly so. So it's only right he gets praise. But we're here to hear from you about your best 11. Those people who have not listened to the podcast before, what Lee's going to do is go through the best 11 players he's ever set foot on a pitch with. Obviously, being a goalkeeper, there is the dispensation with the goalie that he's allowed to pick any goalie who he's worked with from any of the clubs that he has played for. First things first, though, what formation have you picked?
I've gone traditional 4-4-2.
Reason being?
I think for me, most of my career, that's a system that I played in.
Does it affect you much as a goalkeeper? Does it, in all seriousness, does it kind of, I know obviously the logical are 2 defence and 3, does it actually affect you too much, or is it just your job's your job?
I think everybody should know their job, and everybody should be organised and know what their job is within a team and their function within a team. And I think it was very easy for me to organise a 4. And I felt that as I aged and as I become more experienced, that system really, really worked well for me. And I mean, you as a pro, you've got to do your job. Fundamentally, when you're playing in the team, you've got to be responsible. you've got to do your job. But as a goalkeeper, you're trying to make sure that you affect those 4 guys in front of you, or 3 or 5, or whatever the system is, and that you organise them as best as you can, so as you don't have to work, and they organise the guys in front of them. And you could say you work in pairs, that the left-sided centre half will collaborate with the left fullback, and the right side with the right fullback, and the 2 centre halves with the 2 midfielders, and organising. And yeah, for me, it just, everybody's got to know their jobs in whatever system you play, but you've got to be responsible yourself for your own performance.
Yeah, definitely. So we'll move straight in. Goalkeeper.
And I forgot to.
Go on, Marv.
Sorry, I forgot to say, because as you've not listened to any, what we normally do, we normally like the guest to give us some clues rather than just saying the name Harps. If that makes sense, you know what I mean?
No problem. Yeah.
Right.
I tell you what I've done. I've wrote 3 names down.
Oh, honourable mentions, perfect. Yeah, you can give them
honourable mentions are fine. We don't have to guess honourable mentions, but give us a few clues for the actual player.
Well, the three, one of them is obviously probably the best goalkeeper Marv's ever seen in a 5-a-side. So there's one clue for you. The other one, I mean, England international, top class goalkeeper, played at 2 of the football clubs that I played for.
Mm-hmm.
And the other one is another international goalkeeper, but from the Czech Republic, and had another bearing on me as a player, in terms of, as Marv will tell you, my body shape. This guy was the most flexible guy I've ever seen. At the age of 40, he was more flexible than the 16 and 18-year-olds within this certain football club that I was at. So there's your 3 clues.
Which one are you going for?
Which one are you going for, though?
I'm going for, and I have to go for the England international. Yeah.
Seaman?
David Seaman.
Yes. So, yeah, for me, when I signed at Arsenal, I remember the then Sitting Bull manager, who was well known in the game, John Ryan, had said in a paper interview, this Lee Harper could be Arsenal number 1 within a year. I mean, he was way off the radar, but because I just didn't have the experience, and I went there thinking, great, I'm at Arsenal, but I learned so much off that man in that first year, just in some things that, I was so raw, but his hand position, his balance, he was positionally, I'd never seen him out of position. He just made saves that other keepers tried to make worldies. He wouldn't do. He just made it look all easy. He had an aura about him. And that, I like to think that rubbed off on me later on in my career, certainly, that I felt that I always remember Geordie Armstrong, God bless him. He's not here with us now, but he was the Arsenal reserve manager at the time, and said, you'd have Bob Wilson saying that Geordie's come into the team meeting today and said about your presence. And I think that I got from him, just working with him for 3 years. And he was such a big part of me progressing as a goalkeeper. So I'd like to put myself in, but I think realistically, he was an absolute legend. So he's got to go.
What age was you when you left Sittingbourne to go to Arsenal?
Do you know what, Marv? I mean, I've told this story, and you probably don't want to hear it all, but it was a Roy the Rovers stuff, because
I don't even know. Listen, this is what we want to hear. This is what the listeners want to hear.
Well, it was like a schoolboy dream, because I didn't make it as a youngster. I didn't have any academy football. I didn't get into a football club at Luton or a Millwall or an Arsenal or Tottenham or Chelsea, and I was born in South London, but I didn't have none of that. So, but I always had this dream that I could do it and make it. And my mum would always, God bless her, would always say to me, Lee, thousands try, they don't do it. And so I literally went and I played in a team that was an all-black team, and I was the goalkeeper, and they were in Lewisham Way. They were the most loveliest guys. Gussie was the team at Lewisham Way, and he said to me, Lee, we want you to come and play for us. If you come and play for us, I'll get you playing semi-pro at Eltham Town. And I said, look, I want to progress my career. I'll go and play at Eltham Town. we then played Sittingbourne in the Kent Senior Trophy, and I had a really good game. And John Ryan, the then manager, they just built this stadium. They sold their ground to Tesco's or Sainsbury's. They bought this stadium for £6 million. Or they got £6 million. So they built a new stadium. They were going places. They had that year, I don't know if you would remember Neil Emblin, who was at Wolves, who was at Millwall.
Yes.
They sold him that year. They had another guy, Stephen Forbes, who they signed to West Ham, sold to West Ham, and they sold me to Arsenal. So they were really progressing and going that way. And again, it just came off the back of one good game against Sittingbourne. I then played for Sittingbourne against Arsenal in a pre-season friendly, and I played at Moor Green. They were watching, was it Moor Green or Solihull? I think it was Moor Green in Birmingham. Sittingbourne were playing there, and the then Arsenal scout was watching Neil Emblin. He weren't there watching me, but he was right behind the goal when I pulled off one of these like Gordon Banks bottom right-hand corner, plucked it out and went over the bar. It was unbelievable, Marv. You'd have seen it every day in training, but it was, honest to God, it was probably the best save I've ever made. I mean, I was a young man, so I could get around the goal then, but he was behind the goal, and they invited me for a trial, and I played in the first trial game. We got beat 3-0, but didn't do nothing wrong. And I went home and thought, do you know what? If I'm going to make this happen, I've got to be a bit more proactive. And so I then started to come for a few more crosses in the Charlton game and made myself a little bit more trying to impress, even though I didn't want to get caught up going and looking for work. And it just, you know, they said, we want to sign you. And that was it, really. Oh. So it really was a storybook for me anyway, I think, for the way it happened, to end up at a place like that. Because I don't think you see that nowadays.
No.
I don't think you're going to see anyone going from non-league football straight into an Arsenal. They want the finished article and, you know, the top young players. It doesn't happen. But yes, that's how it happened.
Wow. Fantastic.
Yeah, that's incredible. Because at the time, I think I read you were the most expensive non-league player.
Yeah. 150 grand, was it?
Yeah. Yeah. So
it was non-league goalkeeper. And I don't know how long that stood for or what, but it was at the time. It was non-league goalkeeper. I don't know about non-league player.
Yeah, and as you say, it was a massive thing to go all the way up there. But Seaman took you under his wing. I assume there was not much kind of animosity, or kind of, not animosity, sorry, is the wrong word, but not much kind of strangeness to you going, who's this kid? He's non-league player. What's this all about? And you're training with the Seamans, the Adams, the Wrights, those type of players. But back then, I think it might be different now, but I think back then it probably wasn't the same. Or am I imagining things?
Yeah, I mean, I probably, if I was looking in as an experienced number one goalkeeper, I wouldn't have been thinking Arsenal have just gone and signed this kid from non-league. He's a threat to me. So there was never that. But I don't think he was arrogant that he would make you feel that way. You just trained every day, and like I said, that statement that come out from my then previous manager, John Ryan at Sittingbourne, I think was a boost to me, really. I think he was just trying to do that to boost me, to get me in somewhere like that and thinking, you know, this kid is going to go and give it his all. But I had him, and they also signed Vince Bartram that first summer. And then John Lukic also come back to Arsenal within that 3-year spell that I was there. And Wenger, as I said, Wenger offered me another 2 years, which I turned down. And, you know, you look back at your career sometimes, and when you turn down a club like Arsenal, who are an institution, you know, and as an Arsenal fan as well, it is. I did it for my career. I did it because I knew I wasn't generally going to be playing many games with Dave Seaman in front of me. He was established. It's very difficult to establish yourself as a young goalkeeper because, you know, everybody I spoke to, even when I was managing, are always looking for an experienced goalkeeper. It's very difficult for the young goalkeeper to get a chance. And so when I did get my chance at Arsenal, when I kept that clean sheet, to get that contract offer from him was good, but I just felt a career decision, you know. And you do look back, and people say you look back and always think to yourself, you know, nothing compares to Arsenal, and it was right as well.
Well, we'll move. Well, you're right, but like I say, David Seaman, England international, did things. Euro '96. So I mean, going on and on and on. So We'll move on to defence. Right back or left back, wherever you prefer, Lou.
Yeah, I've wrote three left back names down of left backs that I played through my career, and there were some that obviously I played many games for. And what are you looking for me to give you the clue for the one, or do you want me to talk clues on all three of them first?
No, give honourable mentions to the two you're not naming.
Yeah,
right. So they can name them, and then give us a clue for the one you're going to.
No problem. So yeah, the two that I'm not naming, one was my roommate at QPR for a spell. Snored like I've never heard anybody snore in my life. I actually, the first night I roomed with him, I tried everything, earplugs. I tried to take the mattress into the bathroom, slept in the bathroom because I couldn't sleep. But an absolute legend of a left back, and moved on to West Ham. One of the hardest tackling left backs I think I've seen. Hardest tackling players who played left back that I've seen. The other one to mention is actually a guy that worked alongside me and Marvin, but I played with him at Northampton as well, and he had a very good left foot. Was such a good character. So they're the two, and the one that I'm choosing is again, I think from a stature point of view, an Arsenal legend, part of that Arsenal back four that played in my debut game for them, and my one and only and final game for them. So I think it's probably easy for you to guess.
But you can tell us the names of the ones that you're not picking.
Oh, okay. I didn't know. If you, okay, I didn't know if you wanted to guess them. So the QPR guy was Rufus Brevitt.
Yeah.
I don't know if Marv knows Rufus Brevitt, but tremendous guy. And then the other left back was Tommy Yashin, who was a young boy at Aston Villa and come to Northampton, who Marv will know personally. I could have also spoke about Ian Barraclough, who's the now Northern Ireland manager. And to be fair to him, he played in a more of a free, but I wouldn't put him ahead of Rufus, and I wouldn't put him ahead of my chosen pick,
Nigel Winterburn.
Yes. Nigel Winterburn.
Yes.
He was always the quiet one, wasn't he? He came across as the quiet one of the four.
He was, obviously, my integration with them wasn't as much as, say, a Seaman's would have been, or that collaboration socially as well. But he was definitely the most quiet of the four. Quite a funny guy, witty guy, but it was a different sort of humour with him, but a nice guy, and I mean, he was just part of that back four
for Arsenal. Why do you think, in terms of him, why do you think was it the players in front of him that made him never get that England cap, or because I mean the rest of them did? What do you think stopped him?
I think around the time.
Was it Stuart Pearce?
I was just about to say, that was what I was about to say. I mean, Stuart Pearce, another one that was an absolute legend, wasn't he? I mean, his strength, his vocality, his leadership. And I think within that back four, they were all a part of it, a part of a formula that worked, that they were drilled, and they knew where they had to be. And, they were so drilled and organised. With Stuart Pearce, I think he probably give that little bit more in terms of vocality and leadership. And like you say, Nigel probably was a little bit quiet. I don't think he'd be frightened to go and tell people on the pitch, not that he's not vocal, but I think generally in character-wise, he was probably not of the same vocality as a Stuart Pearce, in my opinion. And I think that's probably what is the same as you look back at a Chris Woods and people like that around the Seaman era of goalkeeping, people that might have got a chance, didn't, because just establishment. And I think that's the reason why, probably, that he didn't get that chance.
Fair comment.
Fair. So right back, Winterburn at left back.
Yep. So I picked three. I think what Marv knows one personally again. Putting probably down Luton and West Ham
Yeah,
lovely gentleman.
He's been on the podcast.
Yeah,
strong guy.
Yeah.
Lovely guy, one of the nicest guys I've met, but strong, knew his stuff. I wouldn't say he was lightning quick, but the game then is probably not how it is now with fullbacks and wingbacks absolutely bombing on for fun. You know, you did your job, and your job first and foremost as a defender was to defend and yes, get forwards. So he's one pick. The two other picks, one I've picked, but actually didn't play with him. But again, he was part of that back four, so he didn't play in that. He didn't play in that competitive game. But Arsenal legend, and my actual pick is not him. My actual pick is another England international right back, and the best crosser of a ball. He didn't play loads of games because he had a severe Achilles tendon injury.
Did he play at QPR?
He played at QPR.
Did he play at some stupid other team down the yellow team as well?
Yeah. And
Andrew?
Me and him nearly had a punch up on the pitch at Norwich City away. Yeah, but I still always put him in my team. Because
and by the way, you're right. What a crosser on the run he was of the ball. If it's what I'm thinking of,
would put the ball on a sixpence. He'd get down the line and he wouldn't hesitate. And you know, coaches will say to you, "You get that chance to whip it in that second 6-yard box."
Yeah,
you know, he would do that consistently. And obviously, I can mention one of those picks, obviously, because you said about mentioning the picks. Lee Dixon. Was a great right back, but just for me, I didn't play with him in that debut appearance. But
this one you've picked is a good player. He is a good player.
I honestly believe, and everyone I spoke to as well, because again, I didn't play many games with this guy, but not because I didn't play. I played that 160 games in that 4 years at QPR.
Yeah, but
he was injured for the majority of it, with a severe Achilles problem. I mean, to get back from what he did, and then he's now residing out in USA. Marv, I didn't know if you knew that or not, but he's been in Florida for I think 20 years.
Go on, Marvin. Who is it?
I'm getting David Bardsley.
It's David Bardsley. Yes, he was. So that would be my right back pick, and your fellow colleague that's been on with you,
Tim Breaker.
Yeah,
Tim Breaker. Yeah. So, gentlemen, and a lovely guy, and another strong leader as well, and wanted to win. And everybody wants to win, but a great guy, great player.
Yeah, definitely. So Bardsley's at right back, centre backs.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I've picked out 4, and
well, give us the two who name the two who are not.
Okay, I'll just give you short. Yeah, okay. So the two that are not, one was at QPR and was the best man marker of anybody I've ever seen. He could do a job on the top class. Played in the Premier League with QPR, and was renowned for being able to.
Was he at Tottenham as well? Or was he at Spurs?
Oh, you know what? I don't even know. That's bad. I don't know that, Marv. To be honest with you, you probably
you're thinking of Neil Ruddock.
See,
no, because you're Danny Maddox. I was thinking of.
To be fair, Neil Ruddock, I forgot that I even played with him and Vinny Jones as well. I forgot about Razor. Razor's a great shout. Because of what he did. I mean, I could tell you a story about Razor. I don't know if I've told you the story. The guy is Danny Maddox. Yeah, the guy is Danny Maddox.
But there's a story about
Razor. That's not the centre, but he's one of the ones I
what's the story about
when
Razor?
You've asked me to come on. The story about Razor and Vinny, it's actually about Razor and Vinny Jones. Well, we had to go to Man City, Main Road, QPR, We're fourth from bottom. I think they're third from bottom. They've got to beat us. So we go there and we're in the tunnel and they've got Georgie King-Cladsey, who's absolutely on fire, right?
Yeah,
even though City are struggling, what a player he was. I'm sure you guys remember him. And so anyway, we're just in the tunnel. So this pair, Razor and decide they're going to grab him by the throat and lift him up, prop him up the wall and start to upset him in the tunnel. So they've done that. It's all kicking off in the tunnel. This is before the game. Just to wind him up, to try and upset him. I don't know what they think they was going to achieve. And I couldn't tell you the exact time. But then 18 minutes, he curls a free kick straight over into the top corner. So they're trying to upset him. Didn't quite work. But actually, we went on and won the game 2-1. And we stayed up and they went down. And City then went on a bit of a spiral, if you remember, around that time. Yeah. Where they went down a few divisions, I think in the old Division 2, Division 1.
But getting back to the centre halves.
Yeah, back to centre half. So the other one that I'm not in is another Arsenal legend who's not in. How could you describe him?
The Rash.
He was known as he was known as Coach. He was known as Coach. He was the busiest guy ever. And he talked and he talked and he talked and he talked and he talked. And he had another one that would like a fight, would like a tear up, would get stuck in.
Did he play at Everton?
Aggression.
Did he play at Everton as well?
Yeah.
And did he have Van Nistelrooy by the throat in a game in 2003, 4?
He did. And the only reason he's not in is because Marv said to me, don't just go and pick all your big guns because that'd be easy. So I sort of took a bit of balance here and thought to myself, do you know what? He's probably right.
I bullied him.
He's bullied me. Yeah.
Don't let him bully you. Paul Walsh picked a whole Liverpool team. Don't let him bully you.
No, but you know what?
Harps.
You know what? To be fair to Marv, when I look back at any time I've ever done anything like this, it's very easy to pick those guys. But you guys have given me some reflection. Now it's probably because I'm 50 next month, and I'm thinking I'm old now. Let's have a real look back and think about this a little bit more. So I've gone into with a little bit more thought. So Keown was the other one that's not in.
So Maddox and Keown are a no. So who's in?
There are no, but absolute legends, and So who's in? The first one who's in is an England international, regarded as
you had to pick him.
Mr. Arsenal, an absolute leader. And I remember on my debut, specifically in the second half, we were leading. I don't know if we were leading 1-0 or 2-0, but I think it was 1-0. And as a young goalkeeper who's not played in the Premier League, is in at Arsenal at the Dell, comes and takes a cross on the penalty spot, and then's like, oh, great! I'll go and just try and launch this down the pitch. We're under a bit of pressure, and he's grabbed me and said, "Just calm down, enjoy it." Calm down. And I always remember that, and as a young man, you think to yourself, he's the experience. He knows what he's doing. And not just that. I mean, he was just a fantastic player, a leader, and wouldn't put up with anything in and out of the dressing room. And so I think that's an easy pick for you.
Tony Adams,
Tony Adams. The other centre half is someone that I played with later on in my career, and I mean I think I'm giving them away because I want to make them harder for you guys. So my first clue, this is what made me pick the guy. He's now a manager and a very good one, and he was meticulous. And here's my example of what he would do every single game. We'd arrive at a ground, for example, Carlisle or wherever it was. He would walk to in between the halfway line and the edge of the box on the touch line, and then he would pigeon step, and I mean 1 foot after the other, the whole width of the pitch, because he wanted to know exact yardage of the pitch. How that helped him, I don't know, but what I would say is he was thorough in everything he did. he lost a little bit of a pace when I played with him, but people didn't get past him. He headed the ball for fun. He read the game, so he knew that his pace might let him down, but he didn't get done for pace because he was wise, and he another leader, strong personality, and a top class manager now.
And he's a manager now.
Yeah,
he's a manager now.
Manager of a Premier League team, I reckon, if I got the right person.
Is it Premier League?
He's a manager of a Premier League team.
Play with him at Northampton Town.
I did, yes, correct.
Got Andrew.
Sean Dyche.
Sean Dyche, correct. Yeah, and another one of your Watford friends as well.
Hey, none of that language on this podcast. Thank you very much.
He played at Luton. He played at Luton, Harps.
Generally, you know what? He came in at a time when we were expected to get promoted that season, and the season before Colin Calderwood came in, and Marv obviously was aware of the story where I punched the door at Scunthorpe away and displaced the bone in my hand, and we only got to the playoffs that year. And well, I don't know if you are aware of that story, Marv, but anyway, yes, we were still expected that year to have got promoted and didn't. And then the following season, we signed some real experienced players. One of which will be in my centre midfield of the four that I've chosen. One that hasn't made it. One of which was him, Dyche, Ian Jess. You remember Ian Jess, a Scottish international?
Yeah, good player.
Really good players we signed that year, and then we got promoted. And I'm unsure whether or not, I don't like to mention it, but clean sheet record holder at Northampton Town. I don't know if it still stands, but it was 23 games, 23 clean sheets out of 46 that year, which weren't bad going. And
very good.
Incredible.
It was there for a long time. I don't know if it went because
well,
I know
haven't
Mark
been doing
Bunn was.
Northampton haven't been doing too. They've been kind of a bit yo-yo-y, so they haven't been doing too well from what I've seen.
No, I mean financially, I think they're a club that regularly would get between 5,000-6,000. So input finances probably isn't there for them to be consistently looking to go up. I actually remember playing against them. I played for them in the Championship against QPR. Actually, it may have been League One. But they did get up to the Championship. But you're right, generally they're yo-yoing between Leagues 1 and 2. And I had a couple of years back, I was doing the BBC Northampton radio, so I got a good look at them then. But a friend of mine actually who was with me at Kettering Town is the manager there now, and Colin Calderwood's back there now. I think they'll go close this year.
Yeah, Calderwood's gone back then. So last time I heard from him was years ago in Forest.
Yeah, he's assistant there to John Brady, who was at Kettering Town with me under Mark Cooper, and lovely guy, John, and wish him all the success.
Fantastic.
Back four keeper.
Yes, fantastic. So what we're going to do is we're going to pause there. We're going to hear from our sponsors, and then when we get back, we will hear from the rest of Lee's best 11 as well as Marv's 60 seconds.
Add some art to your Adidas's with Dazzler's Craft Custom Trainers. Based in Exeter, UK, our small team of designers handcraft your Adidas with your favorite designs. From your favorite football team or your favorite player to your favorite band. All our current designs are available to view on our website, dazzlerscraft.co.uk. If you prefer, you can also commission your own bespoke design and let us get creative. Just give us a few ideas and leave the rest to us. Dazzlers Craft, bringing you ideas to life. dazzlerscraft.co.uk.
Great, so we're back for part 2 of Lee Harper's My Best 11. So far, Seaman, Bardsley, Winterburn, Adams and Dyche. Wow, what a back four. So that's where we're up to so far. I'm going to hand over to Marv for Marv's 60 seconds.
Right, you ready, Harps?
I'm ready.
Okay, best ground you've played at. Best ground you ever played at.
Highbury.
Messi or Ronaldo?
Messi.
Favorite other sport?
Cricket.
VAR or no VAR?
VAR.
If you wasn't a footballer, what would you have done?
Cricket.
Okay, Bundesliga, La Liga, or Serie A for quality?
Syria.
Funniest player?
Funniest player, Ian Wright.
If you could change one rule in the game, what would it be? You got me, Marv. You got me, Marv. Change one rule. Change one rule. Let the keeper pick the ball up again. Okay.
From back passes.
Yep.
Last one, Marv.
All right. Rangers or Celtic?
Rangers.
Okay. Talk. Why cricket? You could have become a professional player, cricketer.
I was very good at cricket actually as a young lad, and probably better than I was as a goalkeeper. All rounder, smashed it all around. I mean, I was one of them who was good at most sports and tried to play everything. But yeah, I think I could have pursued cricket definitely.
Yeah, you tend to find that in a lot of players, a lot of sports people. They're obviously not going to make it professionally, but if you're good at one sport, you tend to be pretty good at, generally speaking, most sports.
Yeah, I think that was the one that I think I could have gone on and done something. I mean, I love playing golf. I like playing tennis. But yeah, I'm not probably cricket's the one that I probably could have done something with.
Fantastic.
A batsman, was you, or a wicket keeper?
Do you know what, Marv? I could turn my hand to anything. I could rip the Seaman, spin the ball sideways a bit like Shane Warne. I was generally a medium pacer if I wanted to be, but generally batsman. Yeah, a proper big hitter, beefy like me and both of them.
Okay,
smash it all round.
You love the 2020s these days. Then you loved a bit of just slogging.
Yeah. I mean, I'll still watch England play Test matches. I don't generally watch cricket. I'll only watch England cricket. So Tests, 2020s, one day internationals. I don't really spend my time watching other cricket. In terms of watching sport, I watch all sport, but I wouldn't go and watch Pakistan v West Indies, or I watch the World Cups, I watch the 2020s, I watch the one days in England, and so on.
Fantastic. So moving on to midfield. Do you want to start in central midfield? Either obviously same as already.
Yeah. Okay. So I've picked out again 4 names. One who's not in. Lovely guy. Goal scoring midfielder. I've actually picked 5, but goal scoring midfielder who would get into the box regularly for Chelsea, Newcastle. Played for him at QPR. He's now also living in America. And is involved in the Church of England church. The other one I mentioned to you, who we signed at Northampton, who's not in, was an Aston Villa legend, centre midfielder, great box to box, good defensive player, provided a good screen, lovely guy. At Northampton, and the other one missing out was another England legend who just scored goals for fun and played in that debut game that I played, and I think he scored a ridiculous overhead come sidewinding volley for England in a World Cup final. So probably gives that one away. So they're the 3.
Platt, Taylor, and Peacock.
They're the 3 that miss out, correct?
Jeez.
Yeah.
I had them as well.
Did you?
I know you had them as well. I knew you had them.
Got it. So who have you picked? Lee?
My pick is for me another Arsenal legend who was, this is going to give it away, but was obviously, I'm giving too many good clues here, but the one I thought that you wouldn't get of all my players, the next one, I won't give you.
Let's have a guess then. Let's have a guess before you even give a clue.
We'll go with the Arsenal one. It's okay. So you got
guess. Go on, guess, Andrew.
Yeah, The one that's in the Arsenal one, I think
I know who it is.
Yeah,
I know who it is.
You'll get that one. Yeah, you'll get
Patrick
that one.
Vieira.
Patrick Vieira. Yeah, I mean, I remember him arriving. I remember him arriving because he signed. He was the first signing, along with a guy called Remy Gard, by Wenger, and this guy's ability was just unreal.
Wasn't he from the AC Milan B team or something?
Yeah, I think he was. He wasn't
playing
at
the
time.
For them. Yeah,
it came around that time of that great French team that was produced, where they had numerous great young talents.
Well, half of Arsenal team were in that European French World Cup team, weren't they?
Exactly
he
right.
wasn't established though, was he? Yeah,
No.
Harp, as the
Not when he
as we
arrived.
knew him. He was like 17 or 18, was he? Something like that. Still quite young.
He was a young man, but he just did not look out of place. He just was straight in, and he looked
really.
You know what when you say this guy just fit straight in and did go straight in and was an absolute. I think for Arsenal over the years, you know, those battles with Roy Keane, you remember fondly, and but he was just so strong, powerful, driven, running with the ball, would just break the lines and break defences, and would get in the box, would score goals, would win tackles, would break play up, would just do what he was meant to do. And I think prior to that, he didn't have so much talk about defensive midfield players. You had people had it, but it was really he became one of them players that you really, you know, would just did that job, but would really break the lines and get forward. And absolute legend. And being an Arsenal fan, that players like him and Henry, you know, you just don't forget about them. He's got to go in.
Yes.
Right.
Yes. So next to Patrick.
Next to him.
So this is the guy that I was telling that you wouldn't get.
Okay.
So this guy basically, I'm going to go. This is why I said to you I didn't know if you'd allow it, because would you class a non-league game as a competitive game? But he played I played with him more than once. Yeah. Okay, so it was with Sittingbourne.
Right. Did he? Before you go on, did he play professionally?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, this guy's Marv.
Okay.
This guy's
okay. Hold on. You've never told me this. You've never told me this. I'm going to throw some out.
I don't believe you. I must have told you.
I swear to you now. Listen. I swear to you now.
I mean, there's only a few things I talk about. You know, my clean sheets and
did this guy play for Manchester City?
No, not that he would be recognised for.
All right, that's fine then. That's not the one I was thinking of. Okay.
No.
Okay,
so
go on then.
So let me tell you about how it come about. Anyway, I was playing, and I won't go on, but it was Sittingbourne.
Yeah.
And we signed this guy, and this guy, I think he was about 50 at the time, and we were playing at Cheltenham away, and he, I think the reports were that we'd signed him and were paying him something like £1,000 a game, just to play per game. He was 50 or very, very close to 50 at the time, and this would have been 1993. And on that night, it was snowing, 100-mile-an-hour winds. I was taking my goal kicks, and they were coming back into my box. It was horrific. And you imagine this guy, right, had played at one of the greatest ever English clubs in Europe. Okay, he was a stalwart of this team. One of the hardest men in football at that time. I'm giving you some clues. I'm trying to help you out. And this guy, Marv, he was on the pitch. He was the best player by an absolute country mile. And I just thought, I can't believe that I'm actually playing in the game with this guy. Right. Because as a young man,
was the club
21 years of age?
Was the club he played at the store? Was it Liverpool?
Yes.
That was my ideas.
Yes.
Come on, Marv.
And won European trophies.
I was going down a Chopper Harris route or something like that.
He was hard. He was renowned for it.
The only one I can think of, did he play at Southampton as well.
I believe he played at Southampton as well. I can't believe you got him, to be fair. I think you've got him. But yes, he did. Yes, he did.
Jimmy
Marvin,
Case.
Marvin.
Jimmy Case.
Jimmy Case.
Oh, Marvin,
Oh, yeah.
you pulled that one out. Good work.
I told him that one, Andrew.
You didn't tell me.
I told him
Listen,
that blackguard.
I told you, do not underestimate the Marvster. I knew it. Come on.
I told him. I must have told him that one.
No, fair
Absolutely.
play, Marvin. So Jimmy Case, at the age of 50, how old was he? You reckon about 50?
Yeah, definitely 50. Yeah, I reckon he was 50. There was 90. Well, you can do it if you Wikipedia him or Google him. He played. That was 1993. So you'd get an idea.
So was he brought in to raise the profile of the club? Was he brought in? I mean, if he's only still running things, then he's still an amazing player. But surely at that level, for £1,000 a week, roughly,
I know a grand.
You could get a lot. Sorry,
£1,000
a game. Surely at that level, you could get a really good player still. 10, 15 years younger.
I don't want to talk out of turn. I think he was attracted by the fact that I believe it was reported that he had issues with gambling. He was one of them people that really, really struggled with gambling. Okay. So I think the lure of the money, and Sittingbourne at the time, like I'd said to you earlier at the beginning, had this investment by selling their ground. So they were throwing a little bit of money around. And I think he probably felt, John Ryan, maybe, I don't know, I've never ever asked him, but maybe that he had the experience within a younger midfield that he could bring these players on, and but it didn't last more than 3 or 4 games. Maybe they felt that we wasn't going to get to where we was going to be, and it was best to hold on to a bit more money.
Yeah,
but he was still a great player. I mean, he was the best player.
I tell you, Marv, it just, when you're in that type of football, and it's boom, 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 and this guy just seemed like he had another 5 seconds on the ball every time he would pick up space, and it just was effortless, easy. He was just picking passes for fun, sliding the ball through to players, winning tackles, reading the game, and he's coming to my team because at that age it had an effect, a bit like a Dicey later on in my career.
Right,
the meticulous preparation of a Dicey and the ability of this man to be able to do what he did at that age. Because I'm 50, I actually played my first game about a month ago for a club where I coach for the first time in 5 or 6 years because I had my spine fused, and I just couldn't have gone. And I'm 49. I couldn't have gone and performed how that man performed. Outfield player, goalkeepers can get away with it a little bit because we ain't got to do the same sort of movement in and around. But it was like he must have been retired 7, 8, 9, 10 years, but yet he came and played that game and just was a class above.
Yeah.
And let me tell you, and I am not exaggerating, it was pelting snow, it was gale force winds, and that's the truth. I could not get the ball from a goal kick. I was trying to fly them low, and the wind was so strong, it was literally, virtually, we were just defending. It just wasn't getting out of my box. It was ridiculous. 5 yards out of my box. It was just unbelievable. So yeah, he's my man.
Fantastic. So left wing, right wing. You've got Patrick Vieira and Jimmy Case, who next to them?
Actually, left wing, I found that a bit of struggle because I was trying to think back of people that played at left wing, and one that I didn't play with but was at Arsenal at the time. If he didn't play, a Dutch guy that we signed, a character.
Overmars?
No, because he came the year after actually. Marv.
Are you Glenn Helder?
Glenn Helder.
Yeah.
And then the two, the one that's not in. I don't think Marv will get the one I've chose.
I might as well.
I think you'll be surprised.
I might as well.
I think you probably will, but I think you'd be surprised at the one I've left out for the one that I've chose. So again, I've tried to be thinking about players that I've played with my whole career. So the two that I chose, because I've not got many on my left side. One, I'll give it away by another Arsenal player of that era around the back four, who liked to cut in on his right foot, known as the Magic Man. Liked a glass or two and a bet, and a gamble, but a great player, great feet. Loved the outside of his foot as well, and had the ability to be able to do that. So he's one, and the other one was described by Peter Reid as either the white Maradona or the white Pele when he played under Peter Reid at Sunderland, and that's some accolade, and didn't quite go on, I don't think, to get to where he should have gone. He's a good friend of mine.
Is that the one you're picking? The one with
he's the one I'm picking. He's the one I'm picking. He had great feet. His left foot was a wand. He could pick the top corner out on free kicks.
Did you play with this one at QPR?
Delivery. I did not play with this one at QPR. No.
Oh.
Yeah. I played. Do you want to know where I played with this one?
Yeah.
See, you're probably, because I probably left someone out of QPR. Now you said that.
Go on. Who?
But anyway, I played with this guy at Northampton.
Oh.
And I'm surprised Marv hasn't got it. But
winger,
good player, and probably in and around the time that Sunderland was sort of just progressing back into that top level. Very, very good player.
What nationality?
English. And also, I tried to get him at Kettering Town, and I think he played 1 or 2 games. But I don't know if that was in your time, Marv. But again, his career was done then.
Well, Alex Ray played then, but I don't think he played left back.
Tell me I've got you, Marv. Tell me I've got you.
You might have. Let's just go back to the Arsenal one. Andrew, you got the Arsenal one, didn't you?
Yeah, the Arsenal one was Paul Merson.
Paul Merson, yeah.
Yeah.
And listen, I could quite easily have gone Winterburn, Adams, Dixon, Linegan, and picked all the Arsenal players out. I haven't wanted to do that.
This one at Northampton was at Sunderland as well, then you're saying?
Yeah.
I can't believe I can't get this one.
No.
When
was Kieran Richardson there?
No, he wasn't Northampton, was he?
No, but he was brought into Northampton by Colin Calderwood as well. I would hazard a guess at, but definitely he played.
I tell you what, I might have dug this one out, but
I'm not sure Andrew would get this one. To be fair to him, it's an obscure name that he might not be aware of, even if you've done your homework.
Though, Harps, right, is that I'm thinking of someone who was a centre forward who played, but not on the left. It was at Sunderland and at Northampton. I can think of this player. But he wasn't a midfield. I thought it was a striker.
No, well, not for us. He weren't. So
okay, was he small? Stockish.
He weren't the biggest. He weren't.
Right.
He wasn't
I'm going to come out and say it then. Marco Gabardini.
No, no. But thanks for the mention on Gabbers, because let me tell you, Gabbers scored probably one of the best goals in a game I've ever played in. By the way, did you know Gabbers? Did you?
Well, played against him, and I remember it was at Sunderland and Northampton. I played against him. It was at Derby as well. Right. Good player.
You're right.
Derby as well.
He scored a goal from inside the halfway line on the volley. Ball come over, hit it on the volley, and it went straight over the keeper's head at Cardiff. One of the best goals I've ever seen in my life. Honestly, it's unbelievable.
But it's not him. It's not him.
Right. The only other one I'm going to throw at this.
He's a forward. He's a forward, Marv.
That's what I said. That's why I said. I thought.
Yeah.
Lee Clark.
No.
I've
done. You get done a lot. You get done a lot.
I didn't.
No, we get done. We get done every now and then. You
get
done well.
Every now and again.
I think. Yeah, it's a hard pick. This one. I think. You might get it, Marv.
Hold on.
Michael Gray.
That's it.
No.
Oh, that's the one you wanted, Marv.
As well?
No, I get what you're saying.
I've got it.
Oh, no.
I've got it. Martin Smith.
Martin Smith.
Oh, I'm never going to get that.
Martin Smith, you was never going to get that. But let me tell you, he was a player, honestly. Martin Smith, in my opinion, was a great... He'd be shocked that I put him in ahead of Paul Merson, 100%. But for me, again, it could be very easy for me to sit here and say to you, I'll pick Merson, I'll pick, Parler, I'll pick Anelka, I'll pick Ian Wright, and so on and so on. And it could be. But I didn't want to do that. He, for me, was one of the main reasons we got promoted. He had so much ability, honestly. He was labelled, that's the truth, Peter Reid at Sunderland in the Premier League, when he got in, said he's either the white Pele or the white someone. It was just, I'd have to ask him, because I can't remember, but he had so much talent. He had a wand of the left foot. The ball was glued to his feet, and should have played a lot more at a higher level, in my opinion, or consistently at a higher level. But I don't think you get that one.
No, I only got it from thanks to Andrew, to be honest, because when you said Michael Gray, that I remember that I knew there was a blonde
Michael Gray's a good shout from my guesses. That was a good shout.
There's a blonde lad. I knew there was a blonde left winger who was at Sunderland and Northampton, and I was getting mixed up, similar to like Andrew was. I thought it's not Mickey Gray. It's not Mickey Gray. And then when he said Mickey Gray, then Martin came into my head. Martin Smith.
See, we're a team. We're a team, Marvin.
Yeah.
That was as much me as you, honest, somewhere.
I thought, you know what? If there's one person I didn't want to get us, was him, Arps, because he would never let it lie.
So he gets another go. He gets another go with the right wing. Let's go right wing.
Right wing. So again, I've got I picked out 3. I probably left a few out as well of good players. So the first one is another Northampton Town player who's not the pick, but was in that side that got promoted. We signed him from Cheltenham, and very, very quick, good crosser of the ball, scored really, really good goals. Don't expect you to get that one, but would be up and down, up and down, up and down. Tall guy, very, very good player in and around that level. So he's one that hasn't made it. The other one, again, another Arsenal legend whose work rate was just tremendous. Hasn't made it.
The Romford Pele.
The Romford Pele, yeah. Again, such a great guy, such a legend of Arsenal and, games for England. But I wanted to go with other players other than me just going and, as I said, selecting all the Arsenal 11, which would be very easy to do. And I'm not saying he's not as good as my pick.
No.
But my pick is somebody who had ability coming out of his ears, played for England. When he scored a goal, and it was.
I reckon the best goal ever in the Premier League. I still think
potentially one of the best goals ever scored.
35-yard bicycle. No, 35. Sorry, about 25, 30-yard bicycle kick. Yes, and he played for England at the World Cup in 2002.
He did, and you got him, I think.
Trevor Sinclair,
yes, a fantastic talent, along with Ray Parler and
the other one.
My Northampton pick. Did you get my other Northampton pick? I don't expect you to get this one. To be fair,
you don't.
You couldn't get Smudger, so I don't think you'll get him. I'm pretty confident neither of you. Tall,
right-sided.
Yeah.
Signed from where?
Cheltenham, I believe. We signed him from Cheltenham at the time. Yeah.
Not.
You're googling, Marv, are you?
No, not googling. That's cheating. That's cheating. I'm not googling. Look, got my hands in my pocket. Not Dudfield, is it? Dudfield?
Laurie Dudfield. No, he was a forward. Laurie Dudfield.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
All right then.
No.
Hargreaves.
Shall I tell you?
Hargreaves.
No, Hargreaves was a centre mid, wasn't he? The Jibbo.
Okay. Not Trollope. He's a midfield as well when he's
Trollope was a centre mid, yeah. You're doing well here though, Marv, to be fair, rattling these names off.
If not, I'd have gone for somebody like Keith Andrews, but he was at MK Dons.
Keith Andrews was at MK. Carruthers was a left back, come left wing back.
You're just naming any names now, Marv.
No, this is the right era.
But they are Northampton players. Yeah.
I can't. No. There's a good lad. I thought Greg Lincoln. He's not here. It's not him, is it? He was at Arsenal.
Greg was an Arsenal kid and lovely
No,
guy.
well, you've done me on that one. Go on. You've done me on this one.
Yeah, Josh Lowe was his name. Josh Lowe.
Yeah,
you might not remember him, but
you've gone for Trevor Sinclair. Did he do that flair in training? Was he flamboyant in training, or was he like?
Yeah. I mean, he would. He would look to do that type of thing in training, and he had so much ability and was a really good lad as well.
He had the hair, didn't he?
He had his hair. Yeah, but he wasn't arrogant. He just believed in his ability, and he would try those things in training, and he had the ability to be able to pull them off. So he would work on them in training, and it was no surprise that he could do that sort of thing.
Yeah,
and that came against.
They could attest to me who that goal was against.
Well, one of his goals that he scored, and I don't know if that was the one, but one of them was against an old friend of mine, who was England goalkeeper coach, and whose career ended at a very young age. Who Marv might know, I don't know, but is now the Southampton first team goalkeeper coach. Has been there for many years as well. But one of his overheads, or one of his unbelievable goals, was against Dave Watson, who was a young Barnsley goalkeeper in the Premier League at the time. Barnsley were.
Yeah, good goalkeeper as well, wasn't he? Really good goalkeeper.
Was a good goalkeeper and had to finish with his knees. So, but top guy and top goalkeeper coach. But one of them was against him. I think the bicycle kick was at Loftus Road, if I remember rightly.
Yeah, it was.
I wasn't there when he. That wasn't one of the games that I played in when he done that. But he just had the ability to score great goals. He had a great strike. He had great feet. He had great work ethic up and down that line, and a good lad as well.
Yeah, no, definitely. And he comes across that way when he's on Talk Sport and stuff like that. He's in the media quite a bit at the moment, so he comes across as a thinker as well. We'll move on to strikers.
Yeah. So one's a nailed on.
Yeah, Andrew's favourite player.
The other picks, I've got about 9. So
it shows how good my favourite player was. If you've got 9 for the other position, but you cannot not give a place.
Well,
do you want me to talk about the one?
Yeah, just talk about Bergkamp. I mean, and also like I don't want to rush this because obviously you've played with him, talk about some of the, like in trainings. I can't imagine what this guy would be like in training compared to what he's doing in games.
He had the best feet I've ever seen in my career. So if a ball's played into him, a good player, it might get played into him, and 2 out of 10 or 1 out of 10 will get away from him. 2 out of 10, a top class player, the ball never left his feet; it was glued to his feet. Could pick a pass, would find the side netting constantly, but had no arrogance. Was a bit of a liked a prank and a joke, but was quiet. He was a quiet guy, kept himself to himself. Could score all range of goals, headers. He'd get into positions within the box, and in training could just slot it on an outcoming goalkeeper, would lift it over their head and slot it. Wouldn't take liberties, but if the ball sat up high, wouldn't ever panic. I just haven't seen feet like it, Marv. In any circumstance, in tight area, under pressure,
and we had
get past people.
We had Matty Upson on there as well, and he said like he would leave one on you as well. By the way, he said, "Don't worry about that." He said,
"Oh yeah, he was a nice guy, but listen, he would be able to look after himself, and he would certainly not be afraid to put his foot in."
Yeah, well, we've had Ian Foyer on here talk about Di Canio, and Di Canio practiced and rehearsed that goal that we all know.
Yeah.
Did Bergkamp rehearse? I know it's difficult to say, kind of rehearse things like the Leicester game and things like the Newcastle game.
Yeah, I think the Leicester game was the Leicester game the 3-3 or did we win that game?
At Filbert Street. Yeah.
Well, them goals were outrageous. My favourite Bergkamp goal was the goal at Newcastle.
Yeah, the Newcastle one.
Newcastle. where he flicked it round the corner of the new car of the centre half, and then slid it in. It was just outrageous, but it was second nature to him. He just had the ability to be able to do that.
So you don't think he practiced it or rehearsed it? It was.
I think as a ball come in, he knew where that defender was, whether he was touch tight, whether he was a yard away, whether he could turn and face him up and then nutmeg him. He just had the ability. The ball was stuck to his foot. He's another one that seemed to have more time on the ball and could do what he wanted than others. He just was on a different planet.
Yeah, because he went through that era, because he did the same in the World Cup, didn't he, against Argentina? Something similar.
Yeah, I mean, like the Leicester goal.
Yeah, they get like the Leicester goal.
Yeah. I want to see one of my favorite. Very similar. One of my favorite goals of his was the one in the cup against Sunderland, where he's just like curled it and top corner. I don't know if you remember it.
Yeah, I do remember, and I remember the Leicester goals vividly. But my favourite was the Newcastle one, where it's wrapped into him on the edge of the box, and the way he spins it, the spin he puts on the ball to get round the guy, know that he's going to do it, and get round the other side of him, and then just coolly puts it in the corner. It's just, people were saying at the time, did he mean to do that?
Yeah,
100% meant to do that. He 100 million % meant to do that, and he just had so much ability. He would just, dink you for fun.
Lastly, on Bergkamp, obviously at that time you guys were playing in Europe, or Bergkamp was kind of going out of Europe. He had a plane phobia. Is that right? He used to have to get the train everywhere. Is that right?
He didn't. In my time there with him, he didn't fly. He wouldn't fly, so he would have to set off days earlier for him to get to the destination.
It's incredible.
So he'd had a scare. I don't know when the scare was and whether it's still the case, but he doesn't fly. But I think sometimes he didn't go to every game. It would depend on whether, I suppose, they thought they could do without him or not do without him, and how winnable the game was, and whether they, threw all. If
you're going to Armenia, you're not going to lose him for a whole week, are you? There and back. So
exactly right. So, but absolute legend and the best feat I've ever seen.
Yeah. Next to Dennis Bergkamp. Next to Dennis Bergkamp. 9.
Well, I've got loads. I've got so many that I could have picked from, and the one that I've picked from is another very obscure one. And to be honest with you, the one name that I've not got down, and I've not got it down because Marv said I'm not allowed to have him, was probably as good a finisher as him, an Arsenal legend. I've not got him down. Obviously, Wrighty would tell you where he's going to put the ball in training, and you wouldn't get it because he worked and worked and worked and worked and worked. And he's the one that when I look back at my career, and I'm trying to tell my daughter now, who's out in America playing, I'm trying to say to her, you've got to go the extra mile. You've got to do a bit more. You know where your weaknesses are. Go and work on it. Go and get someone. No, I can't get no one, Dad. No, go and get someone and tell them I want to do some one-on-ones. Go and get someone and throw the ball out to him and do 2-touch. He's right. He would just get a bag of balls and he'd be there an hour after everybody else, and he'd just be hitting the ball like side netting, but inside the post. And he'd take a penalty and tell you, I'm going there. That's where I'm going. You wouldn't save it. Yeah. You could try and cheat and you wouldn't save it. He had so much ability, but I've not got him down because Marv wouldn't let me have him. So, I'll run through a few quickly. One of the guys signed as a young man at QPR, and I believe my kicking ability got him a move, and played in the Premier League, played for England.
Is that because of the accuracy of your kicking?
My kicking just on a sixpence from the old 6-yard box, Marv, wasn't it? I was decent, so I believe that got him a move.
Or was it the fact he was 6'9" helped?
Yeah, that did probably that potentially help. But one of the other forwards that I played with said that he used to love my kicks, that he could come on and head them as well.
I can't believe he's not made it. So is this the one we're talking about?
He hasn't made it.
He's one that hasn't made it.
Peter Crouch hasn't made it.
He hasn't made it.
No.
Ooh, okay.
No. He's not. And then I've got another played at Arsenal and QPR with me, who was my roommate at QPR. He's on the list of not making it. West Ham player, centre forward, hasn't made it. Could head the ball for fun.
Ian
Really
Dowie.
aggressive. Ian Dowie. Crouchy, no. You've
Chris
got me Arsenal,
Kawamia was
QPR,
before then.
Chris Kawamia.
Yeah.
QPR at the time signed a guy from, I think we signed him from Man City. And was it Man City? I can't remember. But he was one of our highest paid players. We should call him Wingnut for his ears. But good centre forward, goal scorer. Like to spin him behind. He hasn't made it. You might not get that one.
Did he play for Chelsea?
No. Yeah, I'm coming on to him. I think you've got that one. Yeah, but this one. Do you want the name of that one, or do you want me to?
Give me the name of that one.
That's Mike Sheeran. Mike
Sheeran, good player. Yes, Man City. Yeah,
good player, Mike Sheeran. Yeah, QPR legend. Scored something like 60 goals when he was 17 in the youth leagues, and Kevin Gallen. Another guy that came on board when Marv deserted me at Kettering, went off to bigger and better things. Chelsea striker, really nice guy. Played at Chelsea, and his son's now. Where's his son? Son's playing now. I think his son's at West Brom now. Yeah, good player. And then I've got one more.
Oh, is that Paul Furlong, by the way?
Paul Furlong, yeah. I've got one more that I played with, who was a funny guy. Not the biggest, not the tallest, but could leap off the ground. Chelsea, Scottish international.
John Spencer.
And John Spencer, really good guy.
Yeah.
Funny man as well. Kept you entertained. And then you've got my pick,
right?
Who you wouldn't have picked probably in front of all of these. And Marv will get this one. And this guy, I first met him. Well, I say I first met him. I come up against him for Northampton Town. He scored a hat-trick past me, and he never, ever let me forget it. And we signed him the following year, and he was a prolific goal scorer in the lower leagues. Had the best spring for a guy that's probably only 5'6". Would score so many headed goals for a small guy. One of my best friends in that 3 or 4 years that he was at Northampton with me. A great goal scorer. Won the Player of the Year award there a few times, alongside myself, and really good guy. So he's my other pick. It'd be very easy for me to have gone and picked maybe a Crouchy. Maybe I couldn't get I would have got Ian Wright, but I wasn't allowed. Gallen, goal scorer. Furs, great players, but I think my career was spent a bit more down those levels. Has he got it, Andrew?
I'm going to guess Steve Morrison.
No, not Steve Morrison at all. No. Steve Morrison was taller and went on to.
Yeah, he was tall. That's what I thought. But he was at Northampton, wasn't he?
Yeah, but this guy's not tall. He's 5'5". Well, 5'6" maybe, but had an incredible leap. Goal scorer within the lower leagues. Spent some time at Colchester. Scored past me when he was playing for Colchester. Colin Calderwood signed him from Colchester. And just an out-and-out goal scorer at that level.
No, it's not who I thought it was now. Because you thrown me with the lower leagues, because I thought this one's played at Colchester,
I think he was at Charlton as a kid, Charlton as a young lad as well. When Charlton were in the Premier League, I think he didn't get his chance and then moved down the levels.
All right. Now, do you know, Andrew?
Lloyd Dyer?
No. Lloyd Dyer, I played with him at MK Dons, but no, not Lloyd Dyer. No.
I'm gonna say
Isel McLeod as well.
Yeah. It's not this one. No, I'm not gonna say it. There's no point in me saying it then. I don't know. It is.
I tried to sign him at Kettering as well, but he's obviously 36, 37 and couldn't agree a deal in the end.
The only one I can think of is oh my gosh, scored goals for fun. He went to Norwich. Did you go to Norwich?
No.
What's the one I'm thinking of?
I think I've got you at last.
Not Tom Young, is it?
No. Tom Young's right wing, really.
Or is he? Centre forward. He's not going to get. I'm not letting him get me the name.
Another name I saw when I was researching, but he didn't play in non-leagues.
Go on, just say it.
No. He played in the Premier League. He was at Forest. Was Jason Lee, but he was at Forest.
Jason Lee.
This one's small.
I can't remember how big Jason Lee was. I can't remember how big he was.
6'4" or 5. He was
totally away from my theory. I wasn't sure if it's just his hair made him look like it.
What's the biggest club or the main club we would know he played for? The best club?
Probably Charlton as a young kid. And then he did do a bit in non-league as well. And I'm not so sure, but up until maybe a year or two, he's obviously going to be. He's a bit younger than me, 44, 45, maybe a bit 46. He was still playing as well as a player manager around the non-league circuit. So
he's going to have done this time.
No idea.
You've done it. You go on then. You've done this.
Scott McLeish.
Oh, Scott McLeish. Yes, should have got that. Good, great. Yeah, you're right. Scott McLeish.
I tried to challenge myself, guys, because I could have quite easily gone and picked established players. But for me, what he did for the team that year that we got promoted at Northampton, and constantly he would win headers defensively. He'd just put him in the middle of the 6-yard box and he would go and win headers. For a guy that was so small, he just had such a leap, such a spring, a really good finisher, scored goals for fun in and around those levels. And like I said, you wouldn't let me have Wrighty, so he's in.
Fantastic.
Wrighty's in, and he's in.
Great. So that's your team. Next question is, who is going to manage this team? Who's the best manager or the best coach you worked under as a player? So it could be all the way back to Sittingbourne or before then, if you want to, or it could be all the way up to obviously the last part on, or it could be the team you're having to kick around with in the last couple of weeks. Who's the best manager
to manage this team?
I think there's only one pick. And I could go through a few that I've worked with, and you've probably done your research. You know, Rioch, Stuart Houston, Jerry Francis, Colin Calderwood, Wenger,
Holloway.
For me, Holloway. It would have to be Wenger. I just thought, and do you know what? When I've not said this, but I think from my managerial career, I thought I could go in managing players how he managed players, but those players weren't at the same level as the players that he would be managing. And I think that's the lesson that I didn't learn, that couldn't be the way. And you couldn't make these players your friends to get them to play for you. And I still believe to this day that my players played for me. They wanted to win, but I thought that a Wenger attitude of, he just was calming. There was no shouting. There was no screaming. I think Martin Keown will say it took many, many years before they ever see him lose his head in half time or anything like that. And I took on board. I took what he did and thought I could then go and do that. And for me, it would have to be him. I mean, George Graham had an aura about him. George Graham, I can remember Paul Dickoff saying back in them days, he was renowned for offering an extra 50 quid a week on your contract renewal. When you're talking about Arsenal paying out thousands and thousands and thousands. But for example, Dickie would be like, no, I'm not signing. I'm not having it. I'm not having it. And then he'd come out and he signed, because he just had that thing about him. He could make you do it. And he had an aura about him as well. Very organised in what he did, getting teams to win games. But for me, it has to be Wenger.
Yeah,
excellent. And then the last bit. I mean, you've mentioned a little bit to us off there to start off with, but just let everyone know what you're up to now, with your business and stuff, and also your goalkeeping thing as well, what you're doing.
I started up a scaffolding business when I was playing, because prior to signing for Arsenal, I'd originally was doing some scaffolding when I left school, and that was a job that my dad got me in so he could get me off the sofa, because my mum at the time was like, I need him out, and he needs to do something. So I did that, and I started that business up and to run alongside when I finished. But it's something that I'm actively trying to really get out of, because, like I said in speaking to you guys, that I'd had my spine fused in 2017, and I was told to stop doing it. But it's easy to tell someone to stop doing something when you've got to, you've got to make a livelihood, you've got to earn some money, and so I started that up. And then I've had my academies now, my goalkeeping academies, going for the best part of 10 years. I only do 3 venues. I'm potentially going to drive a bit more into that. And I've got about 100 goalkeepers in that. And I've had about 35 into football clubs. Tottenham, Chelsea, all young lads. Tottenham, Chelsea, QPR in the last year. Regularly Northampton take most of my goalkeepers, always. Milton Keynes, Luton Town, who I took a lad in at Luton Town, actually, who was Northern Ireland international. I'm not sure if you've released him now, actually, but he was at Tottenham as well before that. So my academies are doing really, really well, and I'm producing grassroots goalkeepers into Football League and Premier League young potential goalkeepers. So I'm really proud of that, and that's going really well. And then I'm also doing some development stuff. So I'm developing properties. With my fiance. We did our first one a couple of years ago, and we're just on our second one now. So the house has been smashed to pieces and footings are being dug. So I'm keeping myself busy. I'm doing lots of different things to keep myself going, and I'm enjoying it. Yeah.
Fantastic. Well, it was great to hear from you, and I really appreciate your time, as does Marv. And that was Lee Harper's My Best 11. Thank you, Lee.